I've spent the last, I don't know, month talking to game developers and marketing experts trying to understand this new trend of small games. They're friend sloppy, they're quick, they're sometimes rough around the edges, and they're released in sometimes a few months. And a lot of these games make a ton of money. Well, what about game developers who spend years, almost a decade, on a single project? Like my guest, Adam Younis. Adam has been working on his game Insignia for 8+ years. And I gotta say, I was actually really inspired by this conversation. I was more than inspired. I was kind of, I felt at home. See, Adam and I, we come from this generation of gamers, like from the 90s, honestly, where we grew up playing games like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Super Metroid. These are games that were simple, they were linear, but they had depth, they had length, and they had a high level of polish and intention. Adam and I talk about why he wanted to make a game like this and almost spend a decade on a single project, and how he's staying afloat, both financially and emotionally. We also talk about AI, we talk about whether you should make small games or big games, and we also talk about how to make money as a full-time game developer, despite, well, not releasing a game and not even having a publisher or a crowdfunding campaign. Oh, and by the way, we talk about that too. We talk about how to get funding from a publisher and from a crowdfunding campaign. Ultimately, the goal is to go full-time somehow without relying on, well, your game being finished and actually selling copies. This conversation was incredibly raw, and you're gonna learn a ton. Let's jump into the conversation. I want to hear, and I want to hear a recap. And like I said, you know, my editor, he'll make all this sound really cool, but I want to hear a recap of your journey from not working on, well, I guess starting Insignia to now. And can you just give me, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to let people who are listening to this podcast, let them know that they're not alone in their journey, you know?
Yeah.
So can you give me your journey? Just lay it out there. If it takes 30 minutes, I don't care. I want to hear your story, and let's hit the beats of, like, you know, you started and when it was scrappy, and maybe some, how you got financing, if you could talk about that, and how you're staying alive, you know?
Yeah, sure.
It's been 8 years.
Yeah. Pretty good, huh?
Amazing. Almost as many years as Ken Levine on Judas. He's worked 10 years on Judas. So you're almost there.
I'd love to be compared to Ken Levine. So, all right. So I started, I guess we can start at like me finishing university. So I have a design degree, not in game design, more in like UX, interaction design, that kind of thing. And I always wanted to make games. Like, it was like, since before high school, it was just something that I knew that I wanted to do, but I didn't know if there would be a place for me in the industry. This is like 2009. So, going into uni in 2010, it was not clear that there was an obvious path into making like real games. And I think this is still something I think about today, of like, at the time, I didn't really consider like the Newgrounds route, even though I was working in Flash a lot, as like legitimate. Like, I just didn't think that that was like what real games were. And so the idea of wanting to work in like, how do I get to be making like a Final Fantasy was kind of like the thing that I was, you know, wanted to do. But indie games as a concept started really coming up around like, you know, 2010, 2011, 2012. So that was right as I was graduating uni. And through uni, I was doing some programming and I was getting interested in games and game engines. But just professionally, I just didn't feel secure making games. So I went into like UX design, and I did that for 3 or 4 years full time at an agency. We did a lot of like broadcasting and aerospace stuff. So we did a lot of like set-top box designs. If you've used like the Comcast box, or if you're in like Canada, like the Rogers.
Wait, so
box.
what was the degree? I'm trying to figure out what you're saying.
It was called,
what was the program?
The degree was called Design Computing, but today they call it Bachelor of like Experience Design. So it's basically a UX designer is what I was. That's what I was, literally was.
For software.
Yeah, for software. Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we would do like apps. We would do like websites. We would do the seatback entertainment systems. So like the United Airline fleet right now, if you go on a United flight, the entertainment system on that, I was in the team that designed that. So that's kind of what we were doing. From there, I got to a point where I was just not happy. Like I just knew I wanted to be making games and I wasn't. And I was turning 25, 26, and I was thinking, is it too late to start making games? Or like, if I wait longer, will it be too late? Yeah. So I was like, I think I had just been inspired at some point while I was working, just in my day job. I had this like hour and a half commute each way to my job. So I would just have my laptop out or a sketchbook, and I would just draw stuff to do with just this little world that I was building. Built around this character, which is the Insignia world now. And I just got like obsessed with it. Like I just fell into it. And eventually I was like, oh, I want to make this game. And I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be about this character and this world. And I was drawing mock-ups and stuff. And then I sort of tried Unity, tried a few different engines. I even actually tried, there's like a project called Flixel in the Hacks engine, which is kind of like trying to get Flash out of Flash since no one uses Flash anymore. And that I just wasn't confident rolling my own engine at that point. I was still a pretty junior programmer. So eventually I fell back into Unity and in game jams, actually. That's where I sort of really got started making games, was making jam-sized games, but with the intent to make this bigger project. Yeah, that's kind of where it started. I pretty much quit my job like 6 months after starting the project, and then took the game to PAX. I forced myself, I actually booked a PAX booth before I had the game in any kind of state.
Wow.
Setting myself like a deadline. I was like, I'm going to go to PAX with this game. Right now, the game is like one scene of the character running around, but I'm still going to book the booth so that like, this is in like January, like by October, I'll have the demo.
And what year was this?
This was 2017.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, that's what I did. And I got like a ton of, positive attention from people at the show and good impressions, but I was feeling like pretty like the game I felt like it needed more. Like people were responding to it in a very like polite way, but I felt like I wasn't like grabbing them the way that I wanted to be. So I just felt like I need a closer relationship with my audience more frequently than this. So that's when streaming happened. Like 2018, I was like, that's it. I'm streaming now. And I'm just going to make the game as live as possible and have people see it and see me making it. So I would say like that marks the current chapter of like the last 8 years, pretty much seven or 8 years have been essentially me doing more or less contracting over time to keep like financially stable, while at the same time kind of like building the like the YouTube platform and the Twitch channel that I've got and Patreon, and also doing kind of like less UX stuff and more game stuff. So like I just finished a game project as a contract job that's helping finance some stuff. I was doing that like 2 days a week.
So contract work is keeping this game afloat at this point.
It certainly kept me afloat. Yeah. Well, I should mention, we got some grant funding back in like last year. So I decided that I wanted to make the game a team project. It was too big. Still probably is too big.
I know the feeling. It's you just give up. You're like, screw this. I'm not doing this solo anymore. And you just start hiring out. I
just felt like if I was to do it solo, I wouldn't be doing it justice. Like certain parts of it, the music and sound and aspects of the animation that like, if I put my time into this, it's going to take less time than somebody else would, but it's time that I wouldn't be spending on some other part of the project that is important. So, we secured.
What are you? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Adam.
No, it's okay.
What are you? What are you contracting out?
So I actually, like right now, I produced a full game for a museum. They were doing like an archaeology exhibit, and they wanted to make like a retro style experience of like, you can dig up these artifacts that are real artifacts in the museum, but you can dig them up virtually in this like 80s inspired pixel art game. So it's kind of like those CD-ROM games, very like super simple.
That's cool.
Kind of like painterly pixel art style. And that sort of fell in my lap a little bit. I get lucky with these things. I don't have like a business. I mean, I do, but like, it's not something that I go out and like look really hard for jobs. They just sort of come my way by virtue of, I guess, me being active in the local scene and having the YouTube channel. And yeah.
Well, to encourage you a little bit, I'm not sure if you've ever felt like contract work is not a legitimate way to keep a studio alive. I'm not sure if you've ever felt that way before, but or maybe you feel like people think that, because I've thought that people think that. But the truth is that even massive studios do this. I mean, like, this isn't the same, but it's similar. So my publisher is 3D Realms, and 3D Realms is owned by Saber. Saber, what they do is, I think they get a bunch of licenses to make games from other studios. So like they'll get licenses from like Hollywood studios to make video games based on some movie.
Yeah.
And so in a way, it's contract work where they're being paid to make a licensed product. But they also make their own intellectual property, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's totally legitimate and also my publisher, Serenity Forge, they're the publisher of my game, Neversong. What they used to do is they used to take a ton of government contract work when they needed to stay afloat as well. So I think that's totally legitimate. This is especially legitimate for people indie game developers or studios who have their own IP and they want to make a big IP. Like you're trying to make Insignia, exactly. You're trying to make this big product.
Yep.
It's hard to finance this thing with just a Kickstarter campaign or just streaming, right? So you've got to survive and stay afloat and be creative, right?
Yeah, there are these constant tensions between kind of like doing what you want to do versus doing whatever you have to do to get the money wherever the money is. And especially in Sydney, it's actually really common. Like a lot of the studios that I've worked with or who I'm good friends with, a lot of them do like 50% contract, 50% their own IP. And most of them are making most of their money off of the contract stuff, or at least paying the wages that way. Yeah. Because I mean, games are a crazy kind of product where you spend like years working on something and then there's like one day where you push a button and then it becomes a product that you sell.
That's right.
And then you want to ride the whole business on whether or not that's going to do well. I mean, you hope that you can do that, but that's a very privileged position to be in.
It is. And it's also, I've compared game development contrastly to like building houses, right? Like a builder, they'll build a house knowing that they'll sell it, and they can just look at the market and as long as there's not like some crash in the market, they know that if they build a house for, I don't know, $200,000, they could sell it for $400,000 in 12 months, and they just know. Or, also when it comes to like making a game that has a proven IP, that if you're going to make a Call of Duty, that you're probably going to get your money back, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know, if you make a Hellboy game, you're going to make your money back because it's Hellboy, right? And it has a built-in audience. So it's super risky to, I think it was American McGee, his episode went live today. He was talking about how making games, especially like the Alice games, they were still a gamble because the Alice IP it's not like a game IP. It's more of just like this fable or this fairy tale that exists in the ether that people that people know about, but they don't know it as a game. And my point is that I've been struggling with this of thinking, why is it that every time I'm making my own game, I get financing from all these different places? I'll get financing from Kickstarter. I'll get financing from a publisher. And why is it that I always end up looking for more money somewhere else? So I have to go scrounge up cash somewhere else, or I have to use YouTube or sponsors or something to survive. It's like, why does this always happen? I always feel guilty about it. And talking to you, I always feel comfort because I'm like, it's because it's kind of like gambling. You're building this random idea and you're hoping that it pays off, and you don't really know how much it's going to cost to make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And even if it's not a gamble for you, like you can have full faith in what you're building, but money coming from some external source, it's a gamble for them, right? Whether it's a publisher or players, prospective players who are doing Kickstarter, like one way or another, you're trying to convince people that this thing which doesn't exist yet will be worth it when it comes out later. So there's this aspect of that tension between the marketing side or the sales side versus the business side. And I think that's natural. I think it's just the way that it is. This is kind of where I feel like even within the scope of publishing deals, which I've seen a lot of recently, there's a lot of variability in, the more you're asking for and who you're asking from, the expectations or the kinds of, I guess, the ways that risk is mitigated are very, very different. So you can take on, way less risk and be given a lot of money, but have almost no chance of making like a ton of profit at the end because the revenue splits just aren't in your favor. But that's like the publisher's way of saying, hey, like we're taking on all this risk by giving you all this money early. So we should take on most of the reward. And I guess in the capitalistic kind of business sense, that's something that I've struggled with a little bit, because for me, I have taken on a lot of risk and I kind of like taking on this risk. Like creatively, that's also where the freedom is, being able to do what you want and make the thing the way that it wants to be made, according to you, the creator. Yeah. That's really valuable to me. So yeah, I'm happy to take money from someone else for some other job completely so that I can keep creative freedom on what I'm doing.
Can I ask you, and we can cut this out of the podcast if you want, can I ask you if you're looking for publishers right now?
Yeah. I'm my like strategy right now is like go down every avenue, explore every option, see exactly what materially is on the table before I start, committing fully down one of those roads. This is why I haven't done a Kickstarter before, because I just know that if I leave that bullet in the chamber, and I really need it, I can fire it. But I don't need to do that until I need to. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say that if you can do a Kickstarter campaign, I would do that. Wait, so you haven't done one yet for Insignia? I would do that if I were you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I mean, I have we're at a point now where I've got so much stuff that you would hope to have backed up. Like, there is a trailer that's cut, that's got some cool hand-drawn animation from like an external studio that I directed. There is like a demo that's like 2.5 hours long now.
Good grief, that's not a demo. That's a game.
It's huge. Yeah.
Have you released that demo?
There's like an internal sort of like Discord community testing track that people can sign up for that they can play. But it's not available anywhere. It's not on Steam. So I have like all this stuff. Like if I wanted to do a Kickstarter, like I could just do one. But there's a lot of commitment there too, in terms of like managing that campaign and trying to drum up some kind of like additional special something, like what kind of rewards are you going to give the high tier?
Well, how many subscribers do you have on YouTube?
We're coming up to 300K.
How many views do you get per video?
Most of my videos are kind of got that evergreen structure, so that it goes up over time. A lot of them might hit 30K in a couple of months, and then over time might go to 50 or 100K. Okay. My opinion, not that you asked for it, but I've done 2 Kickstarter campaigns and both raised about 100K. And this was before I had a YouTube channel. Wow. Both of them raised about 100K. You don't have to create some kind of additional stuff necessarily for your backers until the game is done. So you launch the game and then you deliver the rewards. You deliver like, hey, your name's in the credits, or you got a cool statue, or you got a portrait in the game, or whatever. You don't have to create like some DLC for them or something like that. So my opinion is, before you sign a deal with a publisher, and you don't have to say anything, but before you sign a deal with a publisher, go get yourself $60K to $100,000 on Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. People will support you, man. That like you put out a video, or like, let's say 6 videos in 30 days during the campaign. Yeah, you'll get funded by your audience, and they want to see you succeed. Yeah, this is something that I actually consider a lot of. Like, I definitely I have a similar kind of appraisal. I feel like the 100K mark is I think I've done a lot of research on this. I think that's when it's a significant enough amount that you can do something with it. Less than that, I feel like, unless you're like fully solo, 60 actually is probably like going to get you a year and a half, maybe, if you're, eating ramen every day. But,
yes. Especially in Sydney. You're in Sydney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney's a little expensive. Yeah. Like if you get 100 US, you can do something with that. And I think we could do that. I guess I've just been cautious about seeing how far I could get without one, because if you happen to do a Kickstarter and it doesn't go so well, then I feel like the publisher conversations might be a little more difficult.
Yes, but this is what I always tell myself, and this is also what my wife tells me. Never make a decision based out of fear.
That's really good advice. Yeah.
If you're now, obviously, this is kind of a silly statement if we're thinking about like, should I cross the street? It's like, well, you need to make a decision based on fear, meaning like, let's look both ways. But if like the primary motivation of whether you're going to do a Kickstarter campaign is because you're scared, and I'm not saying that's true for you, but it's like that's such a scary thing to think. I've been working 8 years on a game, and what if the Kickstarter campaign flops? That sucks. That's scary. So here's what I would do if I were you. You've got 300,000 some subscribers. You've got a streaming audience who's highly dedicated. Don't go through Kickstarter. Screw them. The reason people go through Kickstarter is because they don't have an audience. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get an audience from Kickstarter. Kickstarter has this massive email list, and they also have a front page. And so if they get you on there, you get like an additional, let's say 30 to 60% of your funding comes from Kickstarter, the traffic that they generate.
Yeah.
You don't need that. You got your own audience. Dude, do you know how many people I've talked to, especially in like Hollywood? I was talking to some producers in Hollywood and I was talking about financing a film I want to make, and they were like, dude, they said people would kill for your audience size because you can finance pretty much anything you want in a bunch of different ways. And by the way, huge thank you to my audience right now. I love my audience right now. And so thank you guys so much and this actually is coming out 3 or 4 days after Thanksgiving. So this is appropriate. Thank you so much to my audience for keeping Twisted Tower alive because they kept Twisted Tower alive when I had budget cuts from 3D Realms and 2024 sucked. And then because of my audience, I was able to take sponsorships, blah, blah, blah. So huge thank you to my audience. But my point is that you can build a marketplace or like a squeeze page or a website that has support Adam now and a 30-day timer.
Yeah, just do your own Kickstarter. Your
own Kickstarter page, and you can use Kajabi to do it. I would use Kajabi, which is all about digital. And by the way, all of my courses are hosted on Kajabi. You can have your own email list and everything on this web page, and you could put a custom timer at the top. If for some reason it fails, you can make a video about it, and you can say, hey, it's okay. We didn't hit 70K. We didn't hit 100K. I love you guys so much. And so I'm going to take the page down. Page is gone. Publishers don't need to see it.
Do you know?
So there's a thought there for you.
Yeah, I actually like your take on not making decisions based on fear. I have my own little mantra version of that as well. The analogy I make is for the gamers out there. In like Blizzard games, right? The fear spell in like World of Warcraft will send you away from something, but it won't send you towards anything. Whereas like if you're doing like A-star, like pathfinding, you're heading towards a specific thing. So you'll never get where you're trying to go based on fear. You'll just go away from something you don't want. Yeah. That's my little way of rationalizing
I love that. And here's what I've found. I'll speak for me. I don't know if you make decisions based on fear. I don't really know. Would you say that you do?
I try not to.
Yeah, I do. I'm a very fearful person, actually. I come across really confident and I come across charismatic. I'm a very scared person.
I'm a scared person for sure.
What's that?
I'm a scared person for sure. I feel like
Yeah,
this industry makes you that way. Like there's so much risk every single
it
day.
is. You're spinning the chamber in this industry, man. It's tough. So yeah, I make a lot of decisions based on fear. And the reason why my wife says that is because she knows that when I get skittish, I start to make weird decisions.
Mm,
And she's like, chill. It'll
yeah.
all work out. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. And you end up signing bad deals or working with people you shouldn't work with because you're scared.
Mm,
What if we can't pay the bills? Blah, blah, blah. But I wonder if people who are fear driven, sometimes it seems like they also tend to be people who are very talented and have high levels of skill. And I think the reason why is because they've lived their whole life skittish.
hmm
And so they overcorrect for everything.
Yes.
So they become highly talented because
Yes.
they're constantly like nitpicking every little skill they have
I think
because
you
they
got
think
it.
they suck. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's like an intelligence thing. Like if you can think 3 moves ahead or 4 moves ahead or 5 moves ahead, that takes a lot of skill to do that. But it means that you're not moving. Like if you're spending a lot of energy projecting forward, it can be helpful, but it can also paralyze you. So I agree.
Well, let's I want to give you one quick visualization
Uh-huh.
and it'll make sense, I promise. And then
All
we'll
right.
shift gears and I want to talk about friend slop and
Yeah.
AI.
Let's do it.
Not that the two are related, although they might be. So we'll talk about it. But I want to give you one quick visualization, okay?
Sure.
Path one, you're scared, but you launch your Kickstarter campaign and you raise $100,000.
Mhm.
Holy crap. And you don't owe anybody any money. You don't have a publisher telling you what to do. You don't have publisher meetings every Thursday. You don't get weird emails from the publisher saying, hey, we got bought out by Embracer. You don't have any weird stuff. You don't have your point man from the publisher you signed with saying, hey, by the way, I quit. And you have this new point man and it's
Yep.
somebody you hate. Or you don't have your publisher saying, hey, we're going to fail you on milestone 3. We can't pay you.
Oof.
Or imagine the other path, which is you sign with a publisher and they give you $500,000 or they give you $1 million. And let's say it's a big one. I won't say who, but let's say it's one of the big ones.
Yep.
And you go to bed that night after you signed and you're like, oh, thank God. We got $500,000. We got $1 million and we're funded for 2 years. And you feel this huge relief of we got the money. And then you wake up the next morning and you realize I got to recoup all that money.
Yep. Yep.
Before I get my 50%. Oh, wait, that's not 50% because Steam takes 30.
Yep.
Oh, and then Sydney's going to tax 40%. Mm-hmm. Or whatever the tax rate is in Australia.
Yep.
So all of a sudden you've got the motivator to finish or to like do Insignia right. It's goes down because you're like, oh crap, I don't really get to see the benefit here financially. Now you can, obviously, because if you sign with someone like Devolver, they can quadruple the effect of the marketing. And so suddenly they're paying you back for what you're giving them because they know how to do the legwork. But a lot of these publishers don't. So I just wanted to give that to you and let you munch on that.
It's super relevant. I actually, a couple of months ago, I was dealing with this. I mean, this is what you were talking about, anxiety-driven people.
Yeah.
I was entertaining a conversation. I don't want to talk about it in too much detail, but for a lot of money, like more than any of the numbers that have come up in our conversation so far today.
Great.
And it was that same like the wake up moment happened of like, I could take this money, but if I took this money, what would that do to my motivation to work on the game? And how do those incentives totally flip, like you just said, from making something cool to delivering and recouping? And for me, I think I kind of had a moment where I was thinking like, I don't even know if I could use that much money. Like even if you gave it to me, I don't know if I would use it to make the game come out faster. I don't think I could use it to make the game higher quality. I could pay for more people to be in the project, but then I become somebody who manages a bunch of people working on the project. I don't get to work on it anymore myself because you got to delegate now to like what, 10, 15 people.
Well, you know, I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying any of this is wrong. It might be a great idea. It might be a wonderful idea,
For the right
especially
people,
if, yeah, if Devolver reached out and they were like, and if you want me to bleep that out, I don't know, but like if Devolver reached out and said, "Hey, we're going to give you 2 million," I'd take it because it's like, okay, they're going to fight for me.
Yeah.
We're going to make a hit.
Yeah.
But there's some publishers where they're like, "Here's $2 million. Now you're my." They're going to do that because and no matter how nice they are, they're going to take you out for a nice steak dinner and you're like, "These are like my best friends. I love these people." Well, the next day and then the next month and the month after that, they're not going to treat you like a friend. Why? Because they gave you $2 million.
Yeah.
You're not their friend. You're their employee, you know? So you gotta remember that money changes things. It turns the game into a product, which eventually it will need to be a product.
Of course. Yeah.
But I've never not worked with a publisher. And so this is just coming from a place of just, I've been through some trenches, and
I bet
a lot of money is a lot of fun for the first month. And then all of a sudden you're in hell.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But like, what do they want? If they're going to give you $2 million or whatever, what do they want Insignia to be?
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you can't spend all that money. So it makes you wonder, are they thinking that this game is going to be bigger, or should it be bigger than it actually is? You know?
Yeah, I think about it like if I wasn't making a game, if this was just a business, which to a third party, it might just be a business. How do I turn over? How do I like use that money to make more turnover? And for them, I think, you know, they want to make back, let's say they're looking for 2x return. Mm-hmm. Well, if they put more in, they want to get more out. That's kind of like all it is for them. So for me, my incentive is to take as little as possible so that I can recoup that quickly and then just be in profit land sooner. But
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, here's one other thing, and then we'll move on to talk about Friend Slop. But I had money waiting for me, and the money didn't come. I'll just say that. And I'm so grateful that it did, because money was not going to take Twisted Tower from a C+ to an A+. Mm-hmm. It wasn't money that was going to do that. It was time. Yeah. I needed time to live in it and to figure out what the game was. If I had gotten that money, I would have rushed and paid contractors and turned the game into something that it shouldn't have been, based on milestones and like decisions that my publisher had. And it's not their fault. They don't know what the game is more than I do. So I needed time to live in it. Like making a game is sometimes it's like a marriage where no matter how much money I give my wife, it's not going to make her love me more. It's going to be right. It's going to be this the slow dance of the relationship for years before we figure, okay, that's what this is. You know? So sometimes you just need the time. And like when a publisher gives you $2 million, they're paying you to expedite the process and get it done, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's totally on board with how I see it. And I think that this idea of like giving yourself the time and the space to explore what it is that you want the thing to be, I think ultimately that helps you then make those promises. Like I was saying in my little tweet, you know, if you know what it is, then you know how to sell it. So it's better for everybody if you're able to do that exploration first. At least I hope so. I think so.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about exploring for 8 years versus some people's games I've been seeing who they come out in 4 months and they make $500,000, you know, or nice. I'm sure, I know, I'm sure Slots and Daggers. I'm not sure if you've seen Slots and Daggers, but that's made by Friedemann. He came on the podcast. He was a great guest and I love Friedemann, but he knocked Slots and Daggers out pretty quick and made a lot of money. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would consider, I don't even like throwing out the word friend slop anymore. I actually tweeted about this. I said, like, can we just call them friend games? Mainly because people are getting annoyed with me saying it. And so I'm going to be nice and, okay, let's call them friend games.
I think you should. I think we could. I like the word slop because I feel like I see it come up a lot in a lot of different domains. And I'm wondering if, as a culture, we actually do have a definition and we know what we mean when we say slop. And I'm interested in like defining that. I like the word, actually.
Let's define slop. What's your definition of slop?
So I think slop is anything that doesn't bring value of its own, but either demands that you bring the value or just is kind of derived from the value that something else created. So like AI slop is like this idea of this like, you've gotten something out of, there was a whole bunch of human art that went into it, but what you have is just something that's soulless because it doesn't have a soul of its own.
Yeah.
I feel like friend slop is like a game it's fun because you and your friends came and had fun in it, but not because the game has value in and of itself. Like it's just fun to be with your friends. So maybe that's where it is. What about you? What do you think?
That's a great definition.
Oh,
slop is the value is derived from something other than the creator. Is that kind of what you mean? Now,
I think so.
It's not that Peak, the creator, isn't responsible for the fun factor, but it's that Peak, the creators knew they created the vessel for the friends to jump in and make the game fun. So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I would say like I'd probably in the case of like the friend slop genre, I'd probably attribute it more to the genre than any one game. Like I haven't played Peak, so I can't say like that it is a sloppy game or like is a game that doesn't deserve that or doesn't deserve
really
a title.
Beautiful. It actually looks pretty great. Like the graphics are beautiful.
Yeah, so I think it's more about maybe the trend, like the trend of, hey, you just like put something together and put your friends in it. It's fun. That's where I would probably take it. Because I think that like, multiplayer experiences there are better and worse versions of that. And there is something valuable there that you can do a better job of cultivating. So I wouldn't say like multiplayer games inherently are slop, but I think that there is probably something if you like look at all of the games that come out in that genre and look at the ones that get received well versus the ones that don't, or just consistently where is the value? If it's just in you and your friends having a good time because you have fun together, then is it the game that's bringing that to the table?
Can I ask you, why do you think that friend slop is a divisive conversation? I don't know if it's divisive. Let me rephrase that. Sometimes the conversation about friend slop is similar to like the conversation about AI, where people get defensive and angry on both sides. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, this is me. Like, I'm going to lay all the cards on the table here because I feel like
in trouble too.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get in trouble here. I think people are looking for value, like in their lives, whether it's in the content they consume or, the games they play or whatever. They're looking for something worth caring about. And I think that when the narratives are kind of like, what's the word? When it's really hard to develop a relationship with something that's positive, you kind of just start feeling this sense of, it's almost like eating fast food. It's like, I'm not satisfied. It looked good. I ate it, but like now if I eat it every day, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just people are feeling that and they're expressing it in the nearest thing that they can identify.
Okay. They're feeling like the games that are coming out currently make them sick?
Or just that they're not like significant experiences. They just they're not memorable, or they don't make them feel like it was worth the purchase. Maybe, I don't know. I think like for me, this trend towards games being smaller and smaller, or like everyone encouraging people to make smaller games. Like as developer advice, I like it, but I don't want to play just Slots and Daggers or just Balatro or just, like micro games forever. Like it's fine if that was like 20% of the games that existed, but if the other 80 was like the games that I grew up enjoying, then I feel like that's a good mix. So I think it's more just like, where is the nutrition, in the content?
Well, what you just said is going to get you in trouble.
Probably.
Well, I mean, maybe not with my audience, because my audience has nuance in their lives, and they are very smart. But nutrition is not necessarily absent from Friend Slop. Like
No.
we can. This is the argument. We can get nutrition from Friend Slop because it's not about the game's quality. It's more about the experiential. Like it's like the social quality of it.
Yes.
Now, if you're me, you don't really get nutrition from social things. I don't love community. Like it's not it's not really a thing that I enjoy. I know, right? I enjoy being alone. I enjoy this conversation, but at the end of this conversation, I'll breathe a sigh of relief because, and even if I was having a conversation with Jesus Christ himself, which you kind of look like, I would still be exhausted. I'd be like, okay, let's go like sit alone for a little bit.
That was my nickname in high school, by the way.
Was it?
They used to call me Jesus. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So yeah, like being social is not my thing, and games that I'm like you, it's like I kind of want to play a game that has depth and length and meat, and it's more of a story or a world that I'm exploring and learning about.
Yep.
And those are the kind of games I want to make, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And my question for you is are you making Insignia? Has it taken 8 years because you don't know what you're doing? Or is it because, no, you want to build a game with scale and size and meat?
Yeah, I mean, it started as the world. That was the first thing that existed, was like a Lord of the Rings scale, maybe not that big, but like, a fantasy scale thing that was a story that I wanted the game to be set in. And until the game tells the whole story, it's just not finished. Like and the more I work on it, the more confident I get that actually when I'm working on it and in the team and in general, I have this distinction that I like to make between spaces versus places. So like a space is an amount of territory that you move through, right? And it's not memorable. It's just like a volume of distance. But a place is something that has a story in it, right? Someone's lived here, or something's happening here, or something used to happen here. And you can start to build, I mean, that's where narrative lives, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, who is this? Or what's this about? And you can actually like spend more time in a place and derive something from it. So like a lot of my time when I'm working on the game is like, okay, there are spaces, there's the whole game is made of space, but like, how do I make these spaces more memorable or draw the player towards where the places are so that I can create that tension and anticipation and payoff and make them feel like they don't have to skip through it all. That's the thing that I'm really like, the Slop conversation, I feel like intersects with this in like, when I'm scrolling through TikTok, I'm moving through a lot of space, but I'm not spending any time in any of it. Like I'm just waiting for something interesting to happen or to stumble onto something worth my attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's taken 8 years because I'm finding out how I want the player's attention to be spent and how I best direct that attention because I have a world worth people caring about, or at least it will be finished when it's worth them caring about it. That's all I care. Like that's all it is for me. It's like, how do I make a place that is worth your time to be in, and dialogue that you don't want to skip through, and cutscenes that you don't want to skip.
That's right. I love what you said. I think that I love possessing a game or possessing a film like it's mine.
Yeah, you take pride in it.
Exactly. But also from the audience's perspective, I think they like to possess a project too. Like for example, when I play BioShock, or when I play Halo, I love Halo. Or when I watch I love The Sixth Sense. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
When I watch those movies or play those games, I feel like it's mine. It's like this is my world, and I'm learning about it, and I'm like an investigator, and it's just me. There's this sort of lonely, like being like, it's like having a flashlight and looking around this place, and it's mine. Like I've been making my way through Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know if you've read it.
I haven't.
It's in weird ways, Insignia reminds me of it, probably just because it's just a high fantasy world.
Yeah.
But especially with books, when I'm reading or I'm listening to a book, because Brandon Sanderson is giving me clues about how to fill in the gaps of the world, it's easier for me to use my imagination to fill in the gaps of this world. So he's saying, here's a little taste, and here's a little taste, and here's a little taste. Now, Thomas, you fill it in. And so my imagination fills in the gaps, right?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
So, it becomes mine.
That's right. Like, well, a part of you, it was used to create it because you had to imagine it, and then it stays with you afterwards. So it's almost like it becomes a part of you. Yeah. Because you read it.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of world building as a developer is you don't have to fill in all the gaps. In fact, you shouldn't. You should, however, give clues about how you want the player to fill in the gaps of the world. So like you mentioned with spaces versus places.
Yeah.
You give them like two things, and then they fill it in the rest with their own imagination. That's the fun of it, right? It makes it so much more immersive. You know?
I think that's the beauty in the kinds of games you make. Like horror is so much about the negative space. Like
That's right.
The space that you ask the player to fill in with their imagination. And the less you show, it's almost more scary. The darker it is, the less light, the less features and forms. It's like you're creating suspense. And I guess, for me and horror films, I have like a complex relationship because there's always this thing of like, if you show the monster too early, then all the tension falls away. Mm-hmm. But if you never show the monster, I kind of feel like I just got teased for like 2 hours. So how do you feel about that? Like, how do you create
I think that,
value?
I think that value in tension, I'm still working through this. I'm doing play testing right now with Twisted Tower, and most people come away from the game thinking the game is really funny, which I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is good. But then I realize it's like the game is it's kind of like Joker is the antagonist. It's basically Joker. And so he's messing with you the whole time. So there's a lot of humor in it.
Okay.
But when it comes to tension, what I've found is that tension can only be achieved if there's actually like stakes.
Yes.
Like you've got to, the player has to feel like there really truly are stakes. And so one of the sequences that I put into the game without spoiling too much is it's one thing for your fiance to get kidnapped. It's another thing for her to be dismembered. And so, you have to bring increase the stakes. It's like, okay, Joker, yay, Joker stole your fiance. Woo, that's scary. Well, what if he just like cuts off a limb? Then what? So you're and you don't even have to show it. You could just talk about it. And suddenly the stakes are cranked up, and now the tension is.
I think the threat of consequences is sometimes more powerful than the things themselves, like the threat of dismemberment.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have hope as a player, then the motivation just goes away. Like if what I'm doing can't prevent dismemberment, then it's just going to happen. So it doesn't matter what I do.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, the reason why in Twisted Tower, this is a tangent, but the reason why in Twisted Tower, not full dismemberment, but one moment of dismemberment happens. She's still fine. She survives. She's fine.
She's fine.
The reason why it happens is I want the player to go, okay, the cackling Joker character is serious.
Yeah.
He's started the process. So you have to basically let the audience believe that threat is legitimate, and that it will be whether it's an antagonist or a monster or something, we'll move forward with it. So yeah, like I think tension and also just one thing that I'm curious about with Insignia, when it comes to like tension, there's always like the reason why tension works is there's this destination in the player's mind, which is how do I relieve the tension? So like the goal is I need to relieve the tension. So I'm going to keep playing so that I can relieve the tension. The goal, I'm curious with Insignia, do you have setups and payoffs in this game? So do you have like a mystery and then a resolution, or I need to get to point A to get this item or this thing? So how do you deal with that?
The plot is it's very plot driven. Like I hesitate to call it a Metroidvania for that reason. It's closer to like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Twilight Princess, where it's like, Link leaves the forest because the Deku Tree tells him that he has to. He goes and finds Zelda because that's what you have to do. And then Zelda gets taken away and you have to chase, so it's the stakes are kind of inherent in just the story. But I find there are because the game is so big, there are different pillars of tension, and I try to layer them in ways that can occupy like short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. So, and they kind of like overlap, or they kind of like turn over like a wheel. So it's not always you're doing this because the story told you to. Sometimes you're doing it because you want to, or because there's something just out of reach that might help you, like a chest that you can't reach, and you unlock a new ability, and it's like, oh, I'll go back to that chest because now I can reach it. So I think of it mostly in terms of just like questions and answers. Like if you could just boil it all the way down just to that, of like, okay, you're going through this forest because the plot told you to, but on the way you encounter enemies that stop you. So there's tension there of you have to fight to get out. And then there's the things, there might be a character who's calling for your help, but they're out of reach. So I'll have to come back for them later, or, stuff like that, where you just leave things hanging that you then give the player the power to solve later. That tends to be all it is, right? It's just like different layers of questions that you can answer at a later date if you keep playing.
And this is highly orchestrated by you as the developer and storyteller, correct?
Yeah, it's
every not like a screen. Sandbox. Yeah, every little thing. What about like triggers and sequences, and like I'm going to put this little trigger here to trigger this moment, and you have to be thinking of the player and how they're going to react to the trigger. The problem with this, dude, is it's so expensive. And it like when it comes, like it takes forever to make.
It's the hardest thing. It's the most time-consuming thing. I'm currently working on a thing that's exactly what you're describing. It's just a sequence of triggers and cutscenes and moving between scenes, and it's an edit. It's not new content. It's just like something that I wanted to make better, and it's taking months. Just to rewire it all up and make it like a lot of time I'm spending is just making that process easier for myself, because I know I want to edit. Like you don't want to read a book that was someone's first draft, but it is super time consuming. Yeah. Because you change one thing and it changes the whole experience. So you have to like reevaluate it.
Cool, man. Well, links in the description for if you want, for people to wish list Insignia.
Sure, please.
Beautiful looking game. Guys, please wish list that. And Adam, thank you so much for your time. This was a blast, man.
Yeah, anytime.
Cool, man. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.